I'm Kirby Goidel. I'm a professor of political communication in the Department of Communication and a fellow in the Public Policy Research Institute at Texas A&M University. I think there are two components to that, and the first is I'm interested in the psychology of decision making, which really gets into questions of democracy and the capacity for individual citizens to govern themselves. The second part of it is more of an applied focus, which is an interest in how information is used by policymakers in order to make decisions, and whether better information, can lead to better decision making. Initially I was a psychology major of all things, and I was deeply interested in how people reason and how people think about the world, and especially how people, the reasoning processes that we don't understand about ourselves. And I switched over to political science when I was interested in this idea about democracy and how it functions, and how individual citizens are capable or not capable of governing. Yeah, it was actually a professor, nicely enough, back at James Madison, Tony Exterowitz, who was teaching an American government course, and he told us to stop and look around at the classroom, and he said, here's your decision. You can become involved, you can become engaged, you can become informed, or not. If you don't, someone next to you will, and they'll be making decisions for you. And that was sort of the moment where I was like, wow, I need to become interested in politics and political persuasion and political communication. I think the big question remains this capacity for governance and how individuals are functioning within a democratic system of government. That's absolutely number one. Two, the ability of politicians to manipulate the public and the ability of communication to make people believe things that are not true or to act not in their own interest. And then three, how institutions transform public preferences, public desires into actual policy, and the distortion that happens as you move from public preference through institutions to final decisions. The thing that really fascinates me, or some of the things that really fascinate me, one of them is this idea that we love democracy but we don't like government. And so continuously we say, what's the thing about the American political system that we really admire? Well, it's the democratic political system. Well, what do you think about the democratic political system? What do you think about Congress? What do you think about your elected officials? What do you think about the various components that make up the political system? And we hate them all. And so that dichotomy, this belief that democracy is good and yet hating all the parts of democracy, is something that really fascinates me. Politics is about what a society values and how it allocates resources. In a democratic society, politics is about persuasion, fundamentally. You can't have democratic politics without communication. And the better politics we have, having a better political system means having better communication processes where voters are better able to communicate their preferences to elites. Elites are better able to communicate their preferences to voters. And we find that those things align in meaningful ways to produce the best policy outcomes. You can't study democracy without studying communication. The thing that I really hope comes out of the teaching, one, is excitement for the material and enthusiasm about democracy and political communication. I walk in assuming that a lot of students aren't that excited about politics. We know that there's a lot of disgust with politics in our world, and so what I hope to do is to really engage them that way, and then second, to hopefully make them realize the importance of it in their daily lives. That it's not something they can just study and leave behind. That they will be affected by it at some point, and they will want to influence it.